The time, the end of the 20th century. The place, a mysterious, magical, and fantastical world with its most important events unfolding in the heart of London. Event? A child discovers on his 11th birthday that he belongs to a magical world. When he is transported there, he finds himself facing the greatest villain of that world in a fateful mission to save the so-called Philosopher's Stone. Once upon a time, in a quiet and dark midnight on the corner of a British street named Privet Drive, a tall, thin man with thick, silver hair and a beard that reached his waist suddenly appeared out of nowhere. We learn that this man's name is Dumbledore. Suddenly, with a simple wave of his hand, Dumbledore extinguishes the streetlights. Before him, we see a tabby cat sitting on the garden wall of a house marked with the number 4. The man does something quite ordinary. He speaks to the cat. "Good evening, Professor McGonagall. Fancy seeing you here." The cat Dumbledore is speaking to transforms into an elderly woman. Dumbledore is not impressed. This is clearly a normal occurrence on this street. We hear Dumbledore telling her about rumors concerning a wizard named Voldemort and how Voldemort has killed a man named James Potter and his wife Lily in their home in Godric's Hollow. However, he failed to kill their infant son, Harry Potter. Because of this failure, Voldemort's power was completely destroyed and he vanished. Since then, the wizarding world has been chanting Harry Potter's name. Of course, since Harry is just a baby, he has no idea he's currently trending. That's why Uncle Dumbledore has decided that until Harry is old enough, he should be kept far away from his world. A world we now discover is a parallel one where magic is commonplace. As McGonagall hears this story, she begins to cry. Just then, a giant of a man, whom we learn is named Hagrid, appears descending from the sky on a flying motorcycle. Don't be surprised, anything is possible here. In his arms, Hagrid holds a bundle containing a 1-year-old baby. On the baby's forehead is a distinctive scar, a mark from the battle between him and Voldemort. This child is Harry Potter himself, the hero of this episode. Dumbledore leaves him on the doorstep of the house they are standing in front of, the home of Mr. and Mrs. Dursley, Petunia being Harry's aunt. They are a perfectly normal family, completely removed from any magic or supernatural occurrences. And so begins the story of Harry Potter, and this is the novel we will present today. So let's go. Let's dive into the events. Harry Potter lives a perfectly ordinary life in the house of his aunt, Petunia, her husband, Mr. Vernon Dursley, and their son, Dudley, who is exactly Harry's age, but not nearly his size. Harry grows up in this house oppressed, sleeping in the cupboard under the stairs, wearing Dudley's hand-me-down clothes. This lovely family has led him to believe that his parents died in a car crash and that the scar on his forehead is from the accident. Harry lives like this for 10 miserable, dreary, and bleak years without knowing he is a wizard and that in his world he is a hero. Until one morning before his 11th birthday, Harry Potter receives a mysterious letter. A letter? Does anyone even know I'm alive? Who would care to send me a letter? The letter bears a crest with 4 animals and the letter H in the middle. But Uncle Vernon and his wife, Petunia, snatch the letter from Harry and hide its contents from him. Contents they know all too well. In the following days, things get even stranger. Harry receives an endless number of letters, all bearing the same crest. Letters come from everywhere, filling the house from the mailbox to the windows with the supermarket deliveries. Vernon decides to take Harry and the rest of the family and flee to an old, dilapidated shack on a remote rock in the middle of the sea. When the clock strikes midnight, 2 things happen. First, Harry grows up. He has turned 11. Second, Hagrid, the same man we saw carrying Harry as a baby, breaks down the door and storms into the place, wishing Harry a happy birthday with a cake. Then he tells him quite simply, "I'm Rubius Hagrid, keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts."
Hogwarts. Yes, but who are you really? I don't understand. Just because you're a groundskeeper, you do all this? Hagrid is shocked. He's shocked that Harry knows nothing about his true self, his parents, or the world he belongs to. Therefore, Hagrid decides to confront Harry with the truth. He tells him plainly, "You're a wizard, Harry. Your father and mother were wizards, and your place is not here. Your place is up there with the wizards in our magical world." He pulls out a new letter and hands it to Harry. It reads, "Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Dear Mr. Potter, we are pleased to inform you that you have a place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. You will find enclosed a list of all necessary books and equipment." Here, Aunt Petunia, with fear and hesitation, is forced to tell Harry the truth. She tells him that his mother, Lily, was an ordinary person, just like her, until one dreadful day like this one, she received a letter just like the one he's holding now. Harry, she went to the same school, Hogwarts, and became a real witch. There, she met James Potter. They got married and had Harry. Hagrid continues the story, telling Harry that about 20 years ago, a dark wizard appeared, so evil that wizards fear even to speak his name, Voldemort. We'll say his name because we're at the beginning of the story, but it's not proper. Voldemort began to gather followers and kill anyone who stood in his way. But there was one safe place from this villain, Hogwarts. That's because it was home to the only person the evil Voldemort feared, Dumbledore, the headmaster of Hogwarts. But exactly 10 years ago, Voldemort went to the village where James Potter and his wife Lily lived. He decided to kill them, and he succeeded. But strangely, he failed to kill their son, Harry. That's you, who was only a year old at the time. All that happened was a lightning bolt scar on your forehead. That's why Harry Potter became a famous hero while still a baby. As for Voldemort, he disappeared that same night. No one has known where he is or where he went since. It is said that he's hiding somewhere, having lost all his power because of Harry, because of a 1-year-old child. What's so special about this child besides his haircut? What's so special that allowed this child to stop Voldemort in his tracks? What's so special? No one knows. Imagine Harry Potter, at 1 year old, defeated the greatest dark wizard, yet spent his childhood getting beaten up every day by his cousin Dudley. The next day, Hagrid wakes up and takes Harry to London to buy some school supplies, a lunchbox, a water bottle, spell books, and a magic wand. Harry is ecstatic, especially when he learns that his parents left him a fortune stored in Gringotts Wizarding Bank. This bank is run by goblins and guarded by magical spells and giant dragons hundreds of miles beneath the city of London. We'll stop by on our way, withdraw some money, and continue, he says with such simplicity, as if what he's saying is ordinary. Harry, of course, is amazed and astonished, but very happy. In London, Hagrid takes Harry into a small, grimy, and dirty pub. They exit into a wide, empty courtyard. We see Hagrid take out his pink, magical umbrella and tap the wall 3 times. The wall then shakes, and an opening appears in the middle, revealing a long, winding alley. We hear Hagrid say, "Welcome, Harry, to Diagon Alley." Before us, we see a completely strange world. Shops selling owls, wands, brooms, dragon liver, bat spleens, and snake eyes. Books of magic in spells, and strange potions and recipes. Amidst all this, Harry walks in awe until they reach Gringotts Bank. There, one of the goblins takes them in a small cart that speeds madly through a rocky tunnel until they reach Harry Potter's vault. Harry is stunned by what he sees in his vault. Mountains of gold coins, pillars of silver, and piles of bronze, all his. Harry takes enough from this fortune to buy his school supplies. Then, they arrive at vault number 713. It's a vault where Dumbledore has stored something precious and dangerous, something Hagrid hides inside his coat before we can see it. This piques Harry Potter's curiosity, and ours as well, frankly. Harry leaves the bank to begin his school shopping trip. He buys his Hogwarts robes, and Hagrid gets him a snowy white owl as a birthday present. Afterward, Harry and Hagrid enter Mr. Alondiver's shop to buy his new magic wand. After trying an endless number of wands, none of which work for Harry, Mr. Alondiver hands Harry a special wand. It is made of Hollywood and a phoenix feather, 11 inches long. As soon as Harry holds it, he feels a strange sensation, a warmth running through his fingers. Mr. Alondiver is puzzled. He tells them that this wand has only one brother, made from another feather of the same bird. The other one is a bit longer, 13.5 inches, but it is considered the brother of this wand, and that wand is owned by he who must not be named, which is Voldemort, the man who killed Harry's parents and marked his forehead. Harry spends his last month at his aunt's house, where they completely avoid him, leaving him alone with Hedwig, his owl. On the 1st of September, we see Harry standing bewildered on the station platform, holding a ticket that Hagrid had left for him. It's for a train at 11 o'clock from platform 9 3/4. Platform 9 3/4? What's that? Harry remains confused until he suddenly sees a woman with 4 boys whose hair shines with a fiery red color, and they have an owl just like Harry's. He hears them say that the platform they want is also number 9 3/4. Thank goodness. I'll see what these people do and do the same. I'll follow them even if they walk into a dead end. Wait, they are walking into a dead end. Harry sees the family walk into the metal barrier of the ticket gate. They run into it. This is not like the scene you saw in the movie, by the way. In the movie, it was a brick wall, but in the original novel, it was a metal barrier. Harry decides to do the same. What's logical in the world I'm in anyway? He runs quickly with the trolley carrying his trunk, approaching the barrier, his speed increasing. He loses control of the trolley. It races at a mad speed, and a second before he hits the barrier, he closes his eyes and surrenders to the collision. Suddenly, Harry finds himself on a completely different train platform, and in front of him, a crimson train is standing on the platform with Hogwarts Express written on it.
Harry boards the last carriage of the train, alone, nervous and anxious, but luckily he meets Ron Weasley, the youngest of the 4 boys Harry saw on the platform. Coincidentally, this is Ron's first year at school, just like Harry Potter, but the difference between them is that Ron was raised in a well-established and ancient family in the wizarding world. He has 5 older brothers, 3 of whom still go to Hogwarts, 2 have graduated, and a younger sister who hasn't started school yet. We learn that Ron always feels overshadowed. No matter how successful he is at school, what more can he do than what his brothers have already done? Even his clothes and used equipment are hand-me-downs from his older brothers. From here, a friendship begins between Ron and Harry. They share food throughout the journey. Sharing food is the most important kind of friendship, you understand. For the first time in Harry Potter's life, he feels the meaning of true friendship. For the first time, he is not alone. They meet a boy named Neville and a girl named Hermione Granger, who comes from a normal, non-magical family. She has no family in the wizarding world, but she herself is very enthusiastic about becoming a witch. She easily recognizes Harry Potter and tells him, "You're mentioned in modern magical history, the rise and fall of the dark arts, and great wizarding events of the 20th century." Harry is amazed when he learns that his fame is not ordinary. His name is mentioned in the most important books of magic, and everyone knows and loves him. Or most of them love him, because there are others who can't stand him. Like who? Like Draco Malfoy, whom he meets on the same train. The train arrives at the station, and we see Hagrid waiting for them. Takes the first-year students in their black robes and leads them to a giant castle. Hagrid knocks on a huge oak door. Suddenly, the door of Hogwarts Castle, the school of witchcraft and wizardry, opens before Harry Potter and his companions, and we see Professor McGonagall, the cat, sorting them into the 4 Hogwarts houses: Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw. Each house has a rich history behind it. Some have produced the greatest wizards, like Gryffindor, where Dumbledore himself was a student, and some have produced dark wizards, like Slytherin, where Voldemort was a student. And throughout the school year, the students of each house either earn points or have them deducted, depending on their actions.
competitions. The house with the most points at the end of the year wins the house cup. That's why belonging to a house is a great honor and pride. Professor McGonagall takes them to a magnificent hall, a hall open to the black sky sparkling with stars, a hall lit by thousands of candles floating above 4 long tables. Each table gathers the students of one of the houses, and among them we see a number of ghosts. Ghosts? Normal? Of course, you're in a school of magic, so that's what's missing. In front of them is the teacher's table, with Professor Dumbledore in the middle, on a large golden throne. In this place, the houses are sorted. Each student learns which house they belong to. We see the sorting, which consists of the student wearing a magical hat, and the hat, listen to this, speaks. Normal, of course. The hat then decides where each of these students will live. The hat decides that Hermione, Neville, and Ron will live in Gryffindor. As for Draco Malfoy, the hat chose Slytherin for him, the house whose students are clearly a loathsome bunch, a good fit for Malfoy and the house, and they are a good fit for him. When it's Harry Potter's turn, he puts on the hat and keeps muttering, "Not Slytherin, not Slytherin." Although the hat whispers to him that Slytherin will help him become a great wizard, Harry sticks to his opinion. In the end, thankfully, the hat listens to him and chooses Gryffindor for him. Harry joins his friends in Gryffindor, Hermione, Neville, and Ron, as well as Ron's older brothers, the twins, Fred and George, and Percy, their fourth brother. Percy is the head boy. Ron really has a point. What is he going to do among all these brothers? Harry sits with them and gets to know a ghost who resides in Gryffindor named Nearly Headless Nick from about 400 years ago. Normal, of course. Nick tells Harry and his friends that Slytherin has been winning the House Cup for 6 consecutive years, like Real Madrid in the Champions League. This year, Gryffindor must win the prize by any means necessary.
At this time, after all the students have finished their meals, Professor Dumbledore gives his usual annual speech. He warns all students not to go near the Forbidden Forest because it is full of dangerous beasts. He also warns them not to go near the Forbidden Corridor, the corridor on the 3rd floor. And this corridor has a very important role in our story later and in Harry's own adventure. After Dumbledore finishes his speech, they sing the school song, and then the students leave in an orderly fashion, each group to its house. Harry and the Gryffindor students pass by a portrait of a lady in a pink dress. The lady speaks, of course, and asks them for the password. Percy, the head boy, replies, "Caput Draconis." The portrait then moves and a door opens behind it, leading them to the Gryffindor common room. Normal, of course. The students sleep in their dormitories on their first day at school so that the next day, Harry Potter's adventures can begin at the School of Magic with Mr. Snape. On Harry Potter's first day at school, instead of waking up to the sound of the school radio, he is shocked to see dozens of owls entering the Great Hall during breakfast, dropping letters and mail in front of the students. Normal, of course. And among the owls is Hedwig, Harry's owl, the owl that had been his companion until the start of school. She has a letter from Hagrid inviting him to visit on Friday, a visit where Harry will discover a dangerous secret. Let's stay at the school. Harry attends various magic classes, such as Transfiguration, taught by Professor McGonagall, who, by the way, is the head of Gryffindor House. Harry also attends Defense Against the Dark Arts, taught by Professor Quirrell, and Charms with Professor Flitwick. All of these are classes that pass peacefully, and he gets full marks in them, except for Potions, the lessons that bring together the students of Gryffindor and Slytherin, and are taught by the head of Slytherin House himself, Professor Snape.
Professor Snape, in his very first lesson, intentionally embarrasses Harry Potter in front of the students. He tests him with a series of tricky questions in the science of magical potions, and Harry is sure that Professor Snape, for some reason, hates him completely. Friday comes, the long-awaited day. Around 3 o'clock, Harry and Ron go to visit Hagrid as invited, visiting him in his small wooden hut where he lives on the edge of the Forbidden Forest. We learn that after Hagrid was expelled from school a long time ago, Dumbledore let him live in this place as the groundskeeper and entrusted him with the keys to Hogwarts. There in the hut, Harry sees a newspaper talking about a break-in at Gringotts Gringotts Bank, the one run by goblins and protected by spells and dragons. And it happened on Harry Potter's birthday. The same day, Harry was at the bank, and Harry notices a line in the news that says the vault had been emptied earlier that same day. Here Harry wonders if the roll of paper that Hagrid took from vault number 713 has anything to do with the bank break-in. In the second week of school, we see Harry Potter with the Gryffindor team, and next to them, the Slytherin team. I don't really understand why they are always put together. The two teams are in the school courtyard to attend their first flying lesson together. Flying is very important for the students, we understand. And the teacher, Madame Hooch, the flying instructor, begins to teach them how to fly on the old dilapidated brooms they received from the school. At that time, the boy Neville gets scared and falls off his broom, breaking his arm. So the teacher takes him to the hospital wing and leaves the students alone. Of course, a rational person might tell me, they're wizards, why don't they just heal him? My friend, that's in the Fantastic Four. In the messed up class, Malfoy, that Slytherin kid, finds a magical ball that fell from Neville called a Remember Ball. Neville's grandmother had sent it to him to remind him of the things he forgets. He takes it and decides to get on his broom, fly with it, and hide the ball on top of a tree. Why? Just to be a pain. But suddenly, we see Harry Potter on his broom, and he manages to chase that annoying kid with remarkable skill without anyone teaching him. And we see Harry, after successfully getting the ball, landing on his broom on the ground safely. Well done, pride of the fans.
As Professor McGonagall enters, she sees what Harry has done. She takes him from among the students, and instead of punishing him, she makes a deal with him. Now, Harry, my dear boy, we have a sport at school called Quidditch. It's about a lot of balls and things that fly, and we haven't won the cup in 7 years, and Slytherin has been beating us every time. Would you like to join us, since you flew so well just now? And so, Harry Potter will be the youngest player on any team in a century. He will be the Messi of Hogwarts. Malfoy, the sourpuss, is not happy with what Harry did in the flying lesson. We see him at dinner, challenging Harry Potter to face him at midnight in a duel with magic wands. Meet me in the field, wizard to wizard. Harry Potter accepts the challenge, which causes him to break school rules and leave his dormitory in the middle of the night to go to the duel location. The duel is in the trophy room. Ron, Hermione, and Neville go with him. The whole gang. When they get there, they don't find Malfoy or any of his friends, but there they discover that Malfoy had set a trap for them to be caught out of their beds at night, a charge that could get Harry sent back to his aunt on the 6 o'clock train. As for Malfoy, that Slytherin kid, he's really something else. Harry and his friends run away as soon as they hear the voice of Argus Filch, the caretaker of Hogwarts. They go from room to another until they reach a dead end with a locked door. But locked, we have Hermione, the nerd of the school, with us. We see Hermione opening the door with a magic spell, and they all go in after her and close the door. But I wish they had closed it. What's behind the door is no better than what's in front of it, to be honest, because what's in front of them now is very difficult. The students see a giant, huge dog in front of them. Not just huge, but bigger than all your imagination. A dog with 3 heads. Welcome, dear viewer, to the Forbidden Corridor. And before this creature realizes that dinner has arrived, Harry and his friends open the door and run away. It doesn't matter if we get caught and expelled from school, it's better than being expelled from life altogether. In the end, they manage to escape, thank God, and reach the common room of Gryffindor House. They throw themselves on the chairs in a state of shock. Why would the school leave a creature like this here? A logical question, to be honest. Hermione thinks that the dog must be guarding a dangerous secret, and Harry is about to say something, but Hermione cuts him off and decides to stop talking to them because of the danger she was exposed to because of them. But after Hermione cuts them off to save her life from danger, her life is in danger. Before we know what the danger is, we go first to Harry in his training with the Quidditch team. This is after he receives his new broom, a Nimbus 2000, one of the most luxurious and greatest brands that make magic brooms. A smooth and shiny broom with a mahogany handle and a tail of fine hair, and written in gold on its handle, Nimbus 2000. In the first training session, Oliver Wood, the coach, explains everything about the game of Quidditch to Harry.
Harry starts training with the Quidditch team 3 times a week. We reach Halloween, the day Hermione is in great danger. On this day, all the students gather in the Great Hall to celebrate Halloween. While they are gathered, suddenly Professor Quirrell, the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, runs to Dumbledore and and collapses in front of him, saying, "Help, sir. There's a troll in the school dungeon, sir." The world goes crazy, of course, and there's chaos. Dumbledore orders the students to return to their dormitories immediately. While everyone is running away in a panic, Harry realizes that Hermione is not there and that she's practicing her crying rituals in the bathroom after her fight with Harry and Ron. Harry runs quickly to the girls' bathroom and Ron goes with him. On their way, they see Professor Snape leaving all the other teachers and going alone to the third floor, the floor with the forbidden corridor. But there's no time to follow him or watch him. The girl is in danger. They continue on their way, the two of them, until they see a giant troll in front of them, about 12 feet tall. While this troll is wandering around and breaking everything, it decides to enter the girls' bathroom. Harry and Ron hear a terrifying scream of horror coming from the direction of the bathroom. Yes, that's Hermione's voice. We see Hermione collapsing in terror, and the troll is standing in front of her, about to finish her off. Here, Harry does something crazy. He gathers his strength and jumps on the troll, clings to its neck, and shoves his magic wand up its nose. Ron raises his magic wand and says a spell he just learned in Charms class, Wingardium Leviosa, and as a result of the spell, the troll's club flies up and lands on its head with all its force, and it loses consciousness. Harry and Ron were able to defeat a terrifying troll and save Hermione's life. From that moment on, Hermione became their friend again. There are some things that, when people share them, make them friends, and it seems that overcoming a 12-foot mountain troll is one of those things. After the danger is gone, a question remains. What was Professor Snape going to the forbidden corridor for that day? After the Halloween days, Harry accidentally sees the caretaker, Filch, treating a deep wound on Professor Snape's knee, and he hears Snape say something terrible. How can one watch 3 heads at the same time? And Snape notices that Harry has discovered him. Do you also feel, like me, that he's talking about the 3-headed dog? A few days pass, and on a cold morning in November, all the students gather in the school stadium stands to watch the first match of the Quidditch season between the Gryffindor team and the Slytherin team. During the match, something strange happens. Harry's broom goes out of control and moves crazily in the air. Harry falls off it and is hanging on to it with one hand. He's about to fall and die. Amid the crowd's horror and screams, Hermione notices that Professor Snape is standing among the crowd and muttering a spell while looking at Harry's broom. He's probably trying to get rid of him, so Hermione runs quickly through the crowd and stands behind Snape without him noticing, and with a magic spell, she sets his robe on fire. He screams in terror and gets busy with the burning robe. At that moment, Harry is able to control his broom and land on the ground, and he surprises the entire crowd by raising his hand with the golden ball, and the Gryffindor team wins with a score of 170 points against only 70 points for Slytherin. After the match, Harry, Ron, and Hermione go to have a couple of drinks with Hagrid in his hut. When Hagrid hears their story about the dog and Professor Snape, Hagrid is surprised and asks them how they knew all this about the dog, and he tells them that he bought the dog himself from an Irishman, and he warns them that the matter is dangerous and that they must stay away from the dog because the thing the dog is guarding is a secret between Dumbledore and a person named Nicholas Flamel. It's very clear that Hagrid is warning them and at the same time telling them bit by bit. He told them the dog's name and the name of the person who owns the secret. I mean, 50 more cups of tea and he'll spoil the novel for us. From that moment, the trio, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, start searching in all the library books for any information about Nicholas Flamel to find out what secret Snape is trying to steal. We reach the end of December, and the Christmas holiday begins. All the students take a vacation and go back to their families, except for some students like Ron and his brothers, whose parents travel to Romania to visit their son there. And like Harry Potter himself, for whom Hogwarts is now his home and family. On Christmas Day, Harry gets a gift from an unknown person. A gift in the form of a cloak. Not just any cloak, but a silver invisibility cloak. A cloak that, when Harry wears it, he becomes completely invisible. And with the cloak is a letter that says, "Your father left this cloak with me before he died. It is time for it to be returned to you. Use it for good. Merry Christmas." At night, after Ron falls asleep in his bed, Harry decides to use the invisibility cloak and go to the restricted section of the library, the section of the dark arts, to search among the books for any book that talks about Flamel. But unfortunately for him, the caretaker, Filch, senses him and goes to tell Snape. Here, Harry runs away quickly until he finds himself in an abandoned junk room. Inside this room, he sees a luxurious mirror. Its frame is made of gold. Harry stands in front of the mirror and stops himself from screaming at the last moment. Harry doesn't just see himself in the mirror, which is the normal thing to see in front of any mirror. He also sees a large number of people standing behind him, even though the room behind him is empty. Among these people, he sees a woman smiling and waving to him with her hands while she is crying. A beautiful woman with red hair and green eyes, just like Harry's eyes. And next to this woman, we see a tall man with black, messy hair, just like Harry's hair. Harry knows that the people he sees in the mirror in front of him are his father and mother, and that the people around them are his family, the family he sees for the first time in his life. The second night, Harry Potter visits the mirror, but this time with his friend Ron. Ron stands in front of the mirror and is surprised to see himself older, the head boy, and holding the house cup and the Quidditch cup. He sees himself as the captain of the Gryffindor team. Here, Harry gets confused. He doesn't understand what the secret of this mirror is. Does it show us the past or the future? Until he gets the answer from the greatest wizard in history, Professor Dumbledore himself. The third night Harry Potter visits the mirror, Harry is surprised to find Dumbledore himself sitting in the hall waiting for him, and he reveals to Harry the secret of the magic mirror, the Mirror of Erised, which doesn't show us the future or the past, but in fact it shows a person the deepest desires of their heart. Dumbledore says, "This mirror will give us neither knowledge nor truth. Many men have wasted their lives, and some have gone mad, not knowing if what it shows is real or possible." And Dumbledore ends his words by telling Harry that the mirror will be moved to another place starting tomorrow, and he advises him not to look for it. The Christmas holiday ends, and all the students return to school. At the same time, Harry and his friends have finally been able to find out the truth about Nicolas Flamel after they saw his name in books that Hermione had borrowed from the library. These books talk about a magic stone, a stone called the Philosopher's Stone. And in this book, there is a paragraph that says that ancient studies of alchemy focused on the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, which legends say has amazing powers. The stone turns any metal into gold and produces the elixir of life, which makes a person immortal. There have been many stories about the Philosopher's Stone throughout the ages, but the only existing stone at present is the stone of Nicolas Flamel, the famous alchemist. Mr. Flamel celebrated his 665th birthday last year. He lives a quiet life in the Devon region with his wife, Perenelle, who is 358 years old.
Here, Harry and his friends discover several things: that there is a man and a woman who are over 600 years old, and that the dog in the Forbidden Corridor is guarding the Philosopher's Stone, which was made by the alchemist Flamel. This was after Flamel asked his friend Dumbledore to take the stone from vault number 713 in Gringotts Bank and hide it at Hogwarts School, after he learned that some people were planning to steal it. And they guess that that's why Professor Snape is trying to steal the Philosopher's Stone and tried to kill Harry because Harry had discovered him. But let's be surprised that the worst is yet to come.
One day, Harry and his friends go to Hagrid in the hut and confront him with what they know. Here, Hagrid tells them more of the truth and tells them that Dumbledore borrowed the dog Fluffy from him and also sought the help of some teachers to create magic spells to protect the stone. Among them are Professor McGonagall, Professor Quirrell, and Professor Snape himself. Here, Harry and his friends understand that Professor Snape was able to break all the other teacher's spells except for Professor Quirrell's spell. That's why he had to threaten Quirrell in the forest. During their conversation, Harry is surprised by something dangerous in the hut. Hagrid is hiding an egg of a rare type of dragon called the Norwegian Ridgeback in the middle of the fire. This is against the law because raising dragons is forbidden, according to the Wizarding Charter of 1909. But Hagrid broke the law in secret because he had always wanted to raise a dragon. Normal, of course, you know. Harry and his friends are surprised where Hagrid got a dragon egg like this from. I won it. I was in the village yesterday and participated in some card games with a strange man, and I think he was happy to get rid of it. I want you to remember this well, because we will come back to it later. The problem is that Hagrid lives in a wooden hut. This dragon, after it hatches from its egg, if it just sneezes, the hut will catch fire with everyone in it. They have to do something. And indeed, after a few days, the egg hatches and a real baby dragon emerges. Yes, but it's still a dragon, and Harry and his friends go to see it in Hagrid's hut. But it turns out that someone else wants to see the dragon. Draco Malfoy was watching them from the window of the hut and runs away from them after seeing them with the dragon. This means that the dragon issue will not pass peacefully. That kid is a Slytherin 60 times over. A week passes. Hagrid is happy with the dragon as it grows in front of him, and he names it Norbert. At that time, Harry and his friends convince Hagrid that the presence of this dragon is a danger among them, especially after it bites Ron's hand and Hagrid's leg as if it were a small child teething. After thinking and pondering what to do, Harry comes up with a clever idea. We will send this dragon to Charlie, Ron's brother, because he's basically doing studies on dragons in Romania, and he will do studies on it and then he will release it. No one saw, no one knew. And indeed, Harry sends a message to Charlie and tells him the story of the dragon. After a week, specifically on Wednesday night, Hedwig the Owl arrives with a message for Harry and his friends from Charlie. He tells them that he agrees to take the dragon Norbert and agrees with them on a secret plan, which is that they take the dragon up to the top of the astronomy tower in Hogwarts Castle at midnight on Saturday. Charlie's friends will pass by and take the dragon from them and deliver it to Charlie. It couldn't be easier or more wonderful. And indeed, at midnight on Saturday, Harry takes the dragon from Hagrid in a sturdy cage and wears the invisibility cloak with Hermione. They sneak out in the middle of the night and go up to the top of the Hogwarts tower, and they don't know that Malfoy at the same time is reporting the dragon issue to Professor McGonagall. But fortunately for them, she didn't believe him and sent him to Snape, the head of Slytherin House, to punish him for being out at midnight. A few minutes later, according to the plan, we see Charlie's friends flying on 4 magic brooms. They take the dragon and fly away with it. Harry and Hermione come down from the tower all happy and joyful that their plan succeeded. But the one who is probably more happy than them is the caretaker Filch when they bump into him. Hello, hello. I think some people have gotten into big trouble. At that moment, Harry and Hermione realized that they had forgotten something. Oh, they forgot the invisibility cloak on top of the tower.
That night, 4 students are arrested outside their beds, perverts. They are Harry Potter, Hermione, and their friend Neville, who had gone out to look for them, and with them, with great happiness, Malfoy, who was trying to report them, so he got caught with them. And they are all 4 sentenced to enter the Forbidden Forest. This is the most dangerous punishment you can imagine in Hogwarts School, the forest that Dumbledore himself had warned them about from the first day. Also, Professor McGonagall punishes Harry, Hermione, and Neville by deducting a full 150 points from Gryffindor House, and so they lose their advantage over Slytherin and become in last place among all the houses. What is happening is not a small thing at all. In one night, Harry Potter transforms from a beloved hero among the Gryffindor students to a hated person who cost them 150 points. Harry lives in defeat and frustration. For the first time, he's an outcast at Hogwarts after he had finally found himself in the wizarding world and become a star here. And despite all this, the worst is yet to come. You will be amazed. About a week before the exams, during breakfast, a letter arrives from Professor McGonagall to Harry, Hermione, and Neville. It says, "The punishment begins tonight at 11 p.m. Meet Mr. Filch in the entrance hall." At the appointed time, Professor Filch takes the 3 students along with Malfoy from Slytherin and hands them over to Hagrid so that they can all undertake a dangerous mission. A mission inside the Forbidden Forest full of monsters and werewolves, and whoever survives will return to the school at dawn if they are still alive, God willing. Hagrid tells them the details of the mission that I wish they had known. There is a strange beast in the forest that is attacking unicorns and killing them, and now there is a unicorn whose blood has been spilled in the forest. Your mission is to find it and save it, or kill it and relieve it of its suffering. They are divided into 2 groups and begin their mission. Harry is with Malfoy and also with a dog that Hagrid owns named Fang. After a while, the 3 of them find a dead unicorn. Great, the mission is over, let's go home. While they are examining the unicorn, suddenly a beast emerges from the middle of the forest, crawling and drinking the unicorn's blood. Malfoy and the dog immediately run away, of course the cowards, and Harry is frozen in terror in front of the beast, which we see standing on its feet, blood dripping from its mouth. Harry then feels a terrible pain in his head, as if fire had ignited in the scar on his forehead, and Harry falls to his knees from the pain, and the beast approaches him. Is this the end? But at the last moment, a creature that is half human and half horse appears. Normal, of course. It stands in front of the beast and saves Harry, and it introduces itself as Firenze and takes Harry on its back and escapes with him. Harry, after recovering from the shock and gathering his strength, asks Firenze about the secret of the unicorn's blood, since he lives in the forest and seems to understand how things work here. At that time, Firenze reveals to him the terrifying truth. The secret in the unicorn's blood is that it saves from death, but whoever drinks it lives a cursed life, because the one who drinks it has killed a peaceful, innocent creature. And the beast that Harry saw drinking the unicorn's blood is forced to live a cursed life until it reaches the Philosopher's Stone and drinks the elixir of life from it, and its power and vitality that it lost for many years are restored. Harry's heart sinks with terror. There is only one person with these characteristics. Could it be him? The man you know? Voldemort? Voldemort, whose name should not be mentioned in these moments? Hagrid and the group arrive, and they take Harry and leave the forest and return to their dormitories at the school. As soon as Harry goes to his bed, he finds the invisibility cloak that he forgot on top of the astronomy tower folded on his bed, and with it is a message that says, "Only when necessary." I don't know who left it, but thank God it's back.
The day passes peacefully, thank God. There are no casualties except for the unicorn, of course, and after that night, Harry and his friends get busy with the exams until they are completely over. On the last day of exams, Harry and his friends sit in the school garden thinking about his fate and about Professor Snape, the Philosopher's Stone that Snape wants to steal and deliver to Voldemort so that he can regain his strength and take revenge on Harry Potter and destroy Hogwarts, or turn it into a school of dark arts. What a dark day. But we see Ron reassuring Harry that for Snape to reach the stone, he must pass the 3-headed dog, Fluffy, and no one knows the secret of passing him except Hagrid. And surely Hagrid will not betray Dumbledore. But here, a terrifying idea comes to Harry Potter's mind. He jumps up from his place and runs quickly to Hagrid in the hut, and his friends run after him until he reaches Hagrid and asks him, "Do you remember the man you played with in the village? The man you won the dragon from? Do you remember what he looked like?" Hagrid tells him, "I don't know. He had his head covered the whole time." Harry asks him with tension and reverence, "Did that man ask you about Fluffy?" Hagrid tells Harry, "Believe it, he did." "How did you know, Harry? Are you a wizard or something?" "He asked me, that man, and I told him that Fluffy becomes like a piece of candy if you know how to treat him. As soon as you play him a piece of music, he immediately falls into a deep sleep." Thank God Hagrid didn't turn out to be a traitor. He turned out to be stupid. Harry runs to the school, with his friends behind him, to inform Professor Dumbledore immediately.
But McGonagall shocks them that Professor Dumbledore received an urgent message from the Ministry of Magic and traveled to London just 10 minutes ago. Of course, we know that London has a Ministry of Magic. Normal, of course. Harry deduces and tells his friends that the letter is surely fake and that the one who sent it is Snape himself to keep Dumbledore away from the school and steal the Philosopher's Stone. And Harry decides to save the stone himself, even if he gets expelled from school. And Ron and Hermione decide that they will be with him and will not leave him. The darkness of night falls, and Harry Potter takes from his bed a flute that Hagrid had given him as a gift for Christmas, and he goes out with his friends Ron and Hermione under the invisibility cloak, and they sneak out to leave Gryffindor House. But who do they meet in the common room? The student Neville, of course. Neville was trying to prevent them by all means from breaking the rules and leaving their beds at night, because by doing so, they are harming Gryffindor House and costing it points. Here, Hermione is forced, with regret, to use a magic spell and completely freeze Neville's body and paralyze his movement to get him out of their way. Sorry, Neville. Isn't this the same Hermione who was cutting them off for getting her into trouble?
Afterward, they walk through the school corridors and reach the forbidden corridor on the 3rd floor, and they are surprised that the door is ajar, so there's someone inside. He opens the door and enters with his friends, and although the dog Fluffy doesn't see them, he was growling with a terrifying and frightening sound, and they see a guitar in front of him, so they understand that Professor Snape must have preceded them. Harry begins to play the flute he has with him. Here, the dog calms down and falls completely asleep. Good night, Six Eyes. Ron opens the trapdoor and discovers that it is dark and deep with no stairs. They are now on the verge of a leap into the unknown, and Harry starts himself and jumps after Ron and Hermione. They land on a soft ground, a plant placed on the ground to soften the impact of the fall, and they realize here that they are miles deep under the school, and they also realize that this plant has begun to move and expand and is turning into ropes that are tying up Harry and Ron from their feet to their necks, and it is on the verge of finishing them off. But luckily for them, Hermione had not been spending her nights watching movies, she had been studying, and she remembers this plant from her botany class and that it hates fire. And she ignites a fire with a magic spell, burning the plant and saving Harry and Ron at the last moment. Afterward, they walk in a long, sloping stone corridor downwards until they reach a beautiful room full of lights of different shapes and colors and small birds shining like jewels. And on the other side is a huge, thick wooden door. When they reach it, they can't open it. Here, Harry realizes that these birds are just winged keys flying in the air. Oh my goodness, we need God's help. They get on magic brooms that are in the room and fly among the keys, and Harry, with the skill of a seeker in the game of Quidditch, is able to catch the right key, a huge silver key with a bent wing. It is clear that someone has used it before, and they succeed in opening the huge door, and as soon as they enter, they see a very strange sight. They find themselves on the edge of a huge chessboard, standing behind the black team and facing the white team, and behind them is another door, and they understand that they now have to play and win. He had been playing chess. So he leads the mission and decides that he will take the place of the knight, Hermione will take the place of the castle, and Harry will take the place of the bishop. The match begins, and the black pieces move according to Ron's instructions until they reach the final part of the match, the end game. Ron takes a step forward to attack the king. Suddenly the queen moves towards him and hits him with a powerful blow. Ron then falls to the ground unconscious, and the queen drags him off the board. Hermione screams in shock, and Harry moves towards the White King, who surrenders and takes off his crown and throws it at Harry's feet. Harry and Hermione pass through the door, casting one last desperate look at Ron and hoping he will be all right. Goodbye, my friend.
Harry and Hermione continue on their way until they reach another door. Inside, they find a huge, foul-smelling troll. But the good thing is that it has taken a blow to the head and is lying on the ground. They pass the troll until they reach a new door. Behind it, they find a room with a table with 7 different bottles on it. So they understand that this is Professor Snape's spell, the potions expert. And suddenly, a purple fire ignites in the door behind them and a black fire in the door in front of them. So they discover that they are probably in a trap and must make a decision now.
At that moment, Hermione sees a piece of paper
on the table with a riddle that guides them to a specific bottle. Whoever drinks it can pass through the black fire and reach the stone, and another bottle, whoever drinks it, can pass through the purple fire and escape. And after deep thought in solving the riddle, and because Hermione had not been staying up late watching videos of the narrator, she is able to find the right bottles. But Harry finds that the bottle that will lead them to the stone is the smallest bottle of the 7. In other words, what's in it is enough for one person. So Harry decides that he will be the one to drink it and go to the Philosopher's Stone and face whoever he meets inside. As for Hermione, she will drink from the other bottle and go back to get Ron, whom they left behind, and leave through the trapdoor and pass Fluffy. And then she will send Hedwig the owl with an urgent message to Dumbledore to help them until Harry tries to delay Snape at the stone.
Harry reaches the last room and sees Professor Snape in front of him.
Wait, Professor Quirrell? What are you doing here?
But Quirrell answers him in another way. He lowers ropes of Devil's Snare that tie Harry up tightly, and Harry Potter discovers then that he has been completely clueless. Everything he thought he understood was the opposite of the truth. Quirrell confesses, like any movie villain who rambles on in the last scene, that he was the one who tried to knock Harry off his broom in the Quidditch match, and Professor Snape turned out to be the one who was trying to save Harry with a counter curse. Oh, we've been wronging the man all this time. That's why Snape decided to be the referee in the next match, to save Harry from Quirrell. No, we really wronged him. God, why do we misjudge the people closest to us like that? Professor Quirrell is also the one who brought the mountain troll into the school, and Professor Snape went to the 3rd floor because he suspected Quirrell and ran to catch him before he stole the stone. Snape is not evil, nor does he want to kill Harry. On the contrary, Snape was trying to save Harry all along. He doesn't like Harry, yes, because Snape and James Potter, Harry Potter's father, were classmates at Hogwarts a long time ago, and they hated each other, but not to the extent that Snape would kill Harry. And Quirrell turns out to be the real villain in the story. He is the one who is doing all this to serve Voldemort. At that moment, Harry notices that the Mirror of Erised is standing behind Quirrell, and Quirrell mutters, "This mirror is the key to getting the stone." But Quirrell doesn't understand how the mirror can lead him to the Philosopher's Stone. Suddenly, Harry hears a harsh and mysterious voice, as if it were coming from inside Quirrell himself. A voice says to Quirrell, "Use the boy, use the boy." Here, Quirrell frees Harry from the Devil's Snare and forces Harry to stand in front of the mirror. Harry, who sees himself in the mirror, terrified and desperate, suddenly his reflection in the mirror smiles and takes out a blood-red stone from its pocket, and the Harry in the mirror winks at the real Harry and puts the stone back in his pocket. At the same moment, Harry feels the stone fall into his real pocket. Harry then tries to trick Quirrell into thinking he saw nothing in the mirror, but the same terrifying and frightening voice coming from inside Quirrell says that he is lying. And the voice continues, "Let me face him myself."
Suddenly, the Devil's Snare holds Harry in place, and the long-awaited confrontation happens, which no one expected would come so quickly. When Quirrell removes the turban from his head and turns his head slowly, instead of Harry seeing the back of Quirrell's head, Harry sees another face in front of him, the most hideous face he has ever seen in his life, a face as white as chalk, with red, wide eyes and without a nose. Harry is paralyzed, and his voice is choked with terror, and we hear this face saying to Harry, "Do you see what has become of me? A mere shadow. I cannot appear unless I share someone's body, but there are always those who are willing to let me into their hearts and minds." We understand then that the frightening beast that Harry saw in the Forbidden Forest, drinking the unicorn's blood, is Professor Quirrell, who is sharing his body with Voldemort until Voldemort drinks the elixir of life from the Philosopher's Stone and creates a body for himself. Voldemort asks Harry to give him the stone in his pocket, but Harry tells him, "I can't
will lie, I'm using it, and he tries to escape. But Voldemort tortures Harry psychologically, telling him that he killed his father after he fought bravely. It was not his plan to kill his mother. She died defending Harry. And here we learn that the story of Harry Potter is a story based in its essence on sacrifice. Harry would not have been alive and lived all the adventures of the wizarding world without the sacrifice of his mother, Lily. With her life, she sacrificed herself so that her son Harry could live. Harry refuses to hand over the stone and enters into a violent struggle with Quirrell, a struggle in which Harry Potter defends himself and the Philosopher's Stone with bravery and courage. And in this struggle, Harry discovers that every time Quirrell tries to touch him, Quirrell's body burns, as if Harry's skin has a power that protects him. And at the end of this struggle, Harry loses consciousness. Harry opens his eyes and wakes up to find himself in the school hospital wing, and next to him are a large number of gifts, and standing in front of him is Professor Albus Dumbledore himself. It is clear that everyone knows what happened, and probably Harry has missed a lot of things. Dumbledore tells Harry that it has been 3 full days since what happened between him and Voldemort in the cellar. 3 days have passed, and Harry has been unconscious, and since then he has become the talk of the school, and everyone is talking about the bravery of Harry Potter, who decided to protect the Philosopher's Stone. And Quirrell could not take the stone from Harry until Dumbledore arrived at the right moment and saved the stone and destroyed it completely, in agreement with Nicholas Flamel himself. This means that Flamel sacrificed himself and his life and his wife's because they had exceeded 600 years of age because of the Philosopher's Stone, and with its destruction they were living waiting for death. But as Dumbledore tells Harry, for all that the 2 things most human beings would choose above all are money and life, the fact is that humans have a knack for choosing precisely those things that are worst for them. But this also does not mean that Voldemort is finished. Voldemort simply does not have a real life, so you cannot kill him. Voldemort let Quirrell die alone and disappeared, and he will wait for the right time to return again.
Harry, in the end, asks Dumbledore about the secrets of the journey he went through. First, why did Quirrell, or Voldemort, burn every time he touched Harry? Your mother died to save you. The one thing Voldemort cannot understand is love. He doesn't realize that love as powerful as your mother's for you leaves its own mark. Love surrounds a person and protects them forever, even if the person who loved them has left this world, and this protection is in your skin. The second secret that Dumbledore reveals to Harry is about the invisibility cloak that he received as a gift. It belonged to his father, James Potter, and Dumbledore himself is the one who gave it to Harry for Christmas. And the third secret is that James Potter once saved Professor Snape's life. That's why Snape hated him even more, because he felt indebted to him and that he owed him favors. And that's also why Snape tried to save Harry and protect him in every way, so that he would feel that he was even with James Potter. James saved him, and he saved Harry, James's son. We're even now. No one owes us any favors, guys. At that time, Harry realizes that human minds work in a strange way, very difficult to understand, even if you are a real wizard.
The days pass, and Harry leaves the hospital and attends the end-of-year feast with his friends in the Great Hall of Hogwarts School. And although Harry knows that his team has surely lost the House Cup, he is happy and joyful that he has won other things in its place: friendship, sacrifice, love. And indeed, Dumbledore announces the house standings, and Gryffindor is in last place with 312 points, and Slytherin is in the lead with 472. One should focus on Slytherin after this because they always win, and the Slytherin students celebrate, led by Draco Malfoy, of course. But Dumbledore surprises everyone and adds 160 points to Ron, Hermione, and Harry for their skill and bravery in saving the Philosopher's Stone. And so Gryffindor ties with Slytherin. Just one more point, and Gryffindor officially wins the House Cup. Here, Dumbledore, in a dramatic and epic moment, adds 10 points to the student Neville for trying to prevent his friends from breaking the rules. So Gryffindor is the one who won in the end. One should focus on good more after this because it always wins. And the hall explodes with the joy of the Gryffindor students, and the students of Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff join them, who are finally happy with the fall of Slytherin. I wish the same for us. And so ends the first school year for Harry Potter at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. But Harry's adventures do not end here. On the contrary, they are just beginning. There are still 6 more parts to come. We We will do them all, God willing, and wait for us in another novel. Peace. Friend, this is a summary of the first part of the Harry Potter novel. What do you think of it?